Before we begin, there will be spoilers ahead for Andor Episode 8. Proceed with caution. You have been warned. I know a lot of you would like me to review the new Star Wars series Tales of the Jedi, and don't worry, I will. But for now, I'll discuss Andor, and stick around till the end to see my thoughts on the Narkina 5 prison production facility and how I feel about the series so far. Andor Episode 8 is out, and there is still no sign of Jedi, nor Force, nor Death Star projects, nor Darth Vader, and no Skywalkers. Is that a bad thing? Absolutely not. It's actually a breath of fresh air. Some people will say that it makes Andor feel disconnected from the Star Wars universe, but in fact, it makes the galaxy feel larger, more connected to real people standing up against tyranny and an oppressive empire. Even though none of the Force aspects have been even talked about in this series, other than the mention of the Emperor on several occasions. The Star Wars universe seems to be growing exponentially, with the addition of several new, previously unheard of worlds. It harkens to fans who crave to see more of the galaxy than what we had been revisiting over and over. Revisiting Coruscant is about the only familiar world we have seen, and we've only seen glimpses of the planet as a whole. We're confined to the dwelling of Mon Mothma and the storefront property of Luthen Rael. It's actually nice not to see Tatooine again. There'll be a time and place for it, but this series has no need for that, especially if there are no Skywalkers or Hutts or Boba Fett. That's refreshing, even though Boba Fett is my favorite character. He's unnecessary to this series. Now we have Andor Episode 8, the second part to the third arc of this series, and it begins the interaction of one of my favorite partisans, Saul Guerrera. We've always known he was a bit brash and quick-tempered, but now it shows a method to his madness. Saul isn't just in it for the fight, he's careful as to whom he chooses to team up with, and he's also careful to choose his battles, a smart strategy when endeavoring in such a dangerous life. He wants to take out the Empire, but he won't do it haphazardly. Monetary and technical gain is nothing if the risks to his men are too high. I like this about him. In the past, we have seen him not care about collateral damage, as it was a means to the end for him. Saul Guerrera is developing as a character very nicely, and I can't wait to see more of him. We go to Cassian Andor serving out a 6-year prison sentence under an alias called Keith. He's been sent to Narkina 5, a planet we haven't seen yet. Narkina 5 is a water planet with island factories building tech for the Empire. The way the prison is set up is genius. The prisoners are barefoot and the guards have minimal weaponry. The floors have the ability to be electrified, and the only way to avoid it is with special boots that only the Imperial ranks have access to. If an inmate steps out of line, anyone on the floor gets shocked. If they aren't in their cells when instructed, shocked by the floor. I say it's genius because there is no need for cell doors. There is also no need for most weapons, which can be taken from guards during an uprising. Save for a few guards who seem to carry blasters anyway. That's probably not a good idea, honestly. The electric floors minimalize the risk to the Imperial ranks and maximizes the risk of an inmate uprising. But we can tell already that there are those who are still going to take that risk. We also know Cassian won't serve his entire 6-year sentence. It's only 5 years from this point that the events of Rogue One take place, and Andor is a captain in the rebellion at that point. Cassian Andor's supervisor is a short-timer played by none other than Andy Serkis. It's good to see him in a role that doesn't include him wearing a CGI suit. If you don't know who he is, for Star Wars fans, he's most notably played Supreme Leader Snoke in the sequel trilogy. He's also taken on roles such as Caesar in the latest Planet of the Apes bit, Gollum in The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, and Klaue, or Ulysses Klaue, in the Avengers Age of Ultron. It's a welcome sight to see him back in the Star Wars universe, and he's doing an amazing job. Not only is the electrified floor of the prison on Narkina 5 a genius idea, but the manner of which they run production is also genius. 7 tables are set up with 7 inmates per table. The table which produces the most gets taste with their food. That's right, taste in their food. The table that produces the least gets electrified, or fried as they call it. Seems inhumane, but look at it like this. It makes everyone strive to be the best. It has the potential to increase production on a constant basis. Every day the production will increase. A top team one day could be at the bottom the next day. This makes the bottom team strive to be better the day following that, and each team striving to beat them in the following days. I know we can't implement something like that in our own real-world factories, but it's still an ingenious idea. With Cassian Andor sitting in prison, there are multiple parties looking for him. Dedra Meero, the ISB agent, is among those looking for him. She's unaware that they already have Cassian Andor in custody due to his alias, Keeve. Seriously, are the Imperial census databases that incomplete that they can't figure out someone is using a fake name, a name that probably doesn't exist? I know the galaxy is vast, but it just seems odd that a galaxy-wide empire can't figure that out. Supervisor Meero is thorough and should be able to deduce he's not in the system as Keeve, eventually. But will she find him first? Luthen Rael is also on the hunt for Cassian Andor. We got a little more depth to his reason for this. He doesn't want Cassian Andor identifying him. So his mission is to have him found and killed. Cassian is a loose end to him, and we've all seen enough mafia movies to understand why loose ends need to be eliminated. I know this is far from a mafia show. Anyways, Luthen Rael has Vel and Cinta looking for Cassian, and we see Cinta in a new way. She's more dedicated to the cause than she is her relationship with Vel Sartha. The cause comes first, she tells Vel. As sad as this makes Vel, she begrudgingly understands. Both are sitting on Ferrix waiting for Cassian's return. Doesn't look like that's going to happen anytime soon. Cyril Karn. Remember? He's the deputy director of the corporate security force who lost Cassian Andor and Luthen Rael on Ferrix. Cyril is pulled from his mundane job for interrogation with Dedra Meero. He presses and presses to be of use to the Empire, but is shut down and told that his inquiries into Cassian Andor better cease or there will be consequences. You have to feel a little bad for the guy. His mother controls him, the Empire ignores him, he has a mundane job, and all he wants is peace and justice for the wrongs Cassian Andor has committed against the Empire, all while besmirching Cyril's good name. This guy cannot get a break. But let's go back to the prison factory for a moment. Yeah, the part you've all been waiting for. What are they making? At first, it appears they are just made to work for the sake of working. But when you look closer, and the more we see their product, one can deduce they're actually making something of use to the Empire, not just insignificant tasks to ensure the inmates remain docile. That useful product appears to be the undercarriage leg attachments to a Viper droid. Now, maybe other levels on the prison are making other parts to it, but this Viper droid is better known as an Imperial probe droid. Now, I say it appears that way because of its distinctive look. I could be wrong, and I accept that if I am. But think about it. These probe droids need to be mass-produced. The galaxy's enormous, and sending out troops to every corner isn't always possible. Not to mention, sometimes the risk of sending a squad of Imperial troops can be overkill for something as simple as surveillance, when a simple droid can go in and most likely be a little undetected. But I wonder if it's harder to recruit stormtroopers than it is to simply build a machine to carry out the dirty work. Let's ask the Separatists about their battle droids. Who knows? I plan to do a deep dive into this series when it's complete. Overall, I'm really enjoying the Andor series. It isn't full of lightsabers, the Force, nor over-the-top choreographed action, but it is thought-provoking and shows us how citizens and Imperials alike think. It gives us an inner working of the Empire itself on a mid-rank perspective rather than the high echelons that we've seen before. And who doesn't like seeing Colonel Wolf Yularen again? Man, that's a treat. This Andor series is also proving that there is a larger galaxy to look at, that everything doesn't have to be tied to a Skywalker. Sure, the end result is a Skywalker aiding in the destruction of the Empire and the Death Star, but for now, Skywalkers are not at play. And that's refreshing. One day we can get back to them, but for now, let's enjoy the story that shows the founding of one or two rebel cells that eventually join forces with the larger rebellion. This is Gerald from Star Wars Fanatics signing off, wishing you all great health, happiness, and peace. Thank you all for watching, and remember, this is the way, the only way.